my crafty friends. Today I'm going to show how I made this little bunny plushie with his little bunny tail. You'll see from start to finish, and I will tell you at the end of the video the things that the issues I had with creating it, the issues I had with the pattern and how the design came out, what I would change about it. First thing I did to make this bunny is I drew my pattern out. But basically what you need is the body piece, the arm piece, legs, and ears. And the color for the ears, I just freehand cut it, and I cut a round piece for the tail. So after you've got your pattern pieces, you want to cut out 2 of the body pieces, 4 arms, 4 legs, 4 ear pieces, and the contrasting or the color pieces for the ears, 2 of those, and 1 for the tail. And what I've done is I've ironed on some fusible interfacing on both or all 4 of the ear pieces, because I kind of want them to, you know, be able to stand up a little bit, and that gives a little weight to them or a little stiffness to them, so hopefully they'll stand up. And so the first thing that we want to do is create the face for this little bunny. So I'm going to take one of the body pieces, and what I'll do is try to fold it center, so it gives me an idea of where to put the eyes and everything. This fabric is really, it creases really easy, so you have to iron between everything. What I'm going to do is draw some little eyelids. And just a few little eyelashes. And then the nose. And his curly little mouth. Alright, so I don't know if you can even see that, but it's on there. And then I will get a needle and thread, and I don't have any, I guess it's called floss, embroidery floss. So what I'm going to use is just thread, but I'm going to double thread it through the needle so it gives it a little thickness. And I'm going to start with the eyes, and I'm going to do those black, and then I'll do the mouth, and then I'll do the nose pink. The mouth will be black too, and the nose will be pink. Okay, you can see I got Bunny's little face sewn on. So now what I need to do is start constructing the bunny. And the first thing we're going to do is come over to the sewing machine, and I'll show you what we're going to do from there. Okay, so I've set my machine on a longer stitch length, and I'm just going to take this little ear, and I'm going to sew all the way around here, and I've brought it up a little bit. You can see about I don't know, maybe a 1/3 of an inch, to allow for it's not going to show when we sew it onto the bunny. It's going to cover that, but I don't want to lose any of this color contrast that I created here. So I'm just going to sew all the way around it, just to keep it on there. And I like the look of that. I'm not going to do a zigzag, or I don't know, maybe, yeah, just a straight stitch, because I kind of think I like the way that would look. It gives it more, I think, of a handmade look. So just sewing about a 1/4 of an inch around the edge of this little color piece here. That's what I'm going to do. And I did do just a tiny reverse stitch just to lock that stitch in there. So you see, can you see, this is what we got. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is put put the camera down where you can see me. I'm going to take the earpieces using one piece that I sewed the colorful fabric on and put right sides facing together. I'm just going to put one pin in it so it'll stay in place. And I'm going to do that with both ears. And I'm going to sew all around them with the exception of the bottom opening so that we can turn them. And I always do a back stitch to lock the stitch in, because when you're turning something like this, you run the risk, especially with a tight spot like that, of tearing the seam. Okay, so now we want to get these earpieces ready and turn those. Clip the strings. And then I just make some little snips right around the curviest part. And just be real careful not to cut the seam. Then you got an ear with a hole in it, and that doesn't work. Okay, so I've got the ears turned, which is quite a struggle. What I actually had to do was, before I turned them, I clipped at, oh, can't even see me. Anyway, I clipped at an angle because it was just so narrow an opening there, and this being so wide, it was really difficult to do. So now I'm going to press these little bunny ears down. This one looks like it's a little straight in there. Alright. I'm going to press these and just set them aside. And the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take the leg pieces and the arm pieces, and I'm going to sew those together. Okay, I've got the leg pieces, the arm pieces sewn. Now the thing is to turn them and stuff them. Alright, I've turned the bunny arms and the bunny legs. And now what I need to do is take the stuffing. Can you see it? No, barely. Anyway, I'm going to take this stuffing and I'm going to start a little bit at a time, feeding it into each of the limbs of the bunny. This is a little bit tedious, but it's best to start with small pieces of the stuffing. What? We got our legs and our arms for our bunny stuffed, and now what we have to do is take the face piece, and we're going to decide, you know, where we're going to put all the parts, and we're going to, I want to make sure you can see me here. We're going to pin everything on, and then I'm going to stay stitch or tack everything on with a zigzag stitch, and then we'll put the back part on and sew all around that. So, okay, so I have tacked all of the pieces for the bunny onto the body. Now what we need to do, this is going to be a really tricky part, because the way I'm going to do this is there's not going to be any need to leave a hole around this to stitch it, and you'll see why once we get to that step. But the way I'm going to do it is to leave the legs out and do that part the very last, and I'll show you that on the sewing machine. But first thing I'm going to do is very neatly line everything up. I think I might have that the wrong way. And pin it down, and then go over to the sewing machine and sew around. And you have to be very careful with the arms because you see this one's kind of laying crooked, and when I get to that one I'm going to have to make sure that I set it right so that it's not crooked once I sew it. So I'm going to get this pinned down, and then I will show you at the sewing machine how I'm going to do this. So what I'm going to do, this process, is you have to work slow with this if you want it to be neat. So I've pinned this side right here and made sure that the arm is laying straight up underneath here so that I don't, so that it doesn't come out looking all funky. And what I'm going to do is sew around till I get to this pin right here, and then I'm going to stop and fix this arm. And so anyway, we'll do this part first. Okay, it's kind of dark over here, I apologize, but anyway, I'm going to go ahead and take these pins out, and we're going to fix up this other side. And these legs are really in the way. They're so much bigger than the bunny, so we're going to have to work with that. At the beginning of the video, you may see this bunny completed, if it turns out right. But this is actually the first time that I'm making one of these. I made the owls, and you know, they turned out really well, but as far as this one's concerned, it's the first time I'm making it. So I'm not pinning through the bunny's little arm because it's got that padding in it, the stuffing, so it would be kind of hard to do it that way. Alright, so now I'm just going to sew down to here and leaving about a ½ inch. Now, we need to get these legs in here. Hopefully, we'll be able to do it. You may have to like bend them up in there and work around it, but I want to do it this way because I like how neat it turns out when you don't have to leave an opening for turning. We're actually going to create an opening and cover it up with the bunny's tail so that it'll be nice and neat. So this part you just really just have to work it, you know, the best way you can. If you have suggestions, I'm open to them for a project like this because I enjoy making these little stuffed animals, but you see how other people make them and you think, my God, how did they do that? It looks so neat. It's just going to take some really careful sewing because it's wanting to tuck, and really just want to take your time with this part. Owie. Alright, so here's the tricky part. The back of the bunny, not where you sewed the face on, but on the back of the bunny. What I'm going to do now is, first of all, I want to make a small mark, just so that I don't lose my place of where I'm going to do this. And I'm going to take just the back fabric, make sure you don't, make sure that you don't catch any of the front when you do this. But I'm going to pinch it up at this line that I drew right here. And I'm going to just make a tiny little snip, not too big. And then I'm going to cut it open a little bit more, making kind of a cross shape or an X. Alright, you see that? Now I'm going to start pulling the pieces out very carefully. You don't want to rip that hole open any more than it needs to be. right. Now, I'm all turned right side out. I'm just going to turn it over and take a dowel and just straighten out all the edges. I did not sew in enough on this. You can see a little bit of where I did the zigzag stitch, but I'm gonna excuse me, I'm gonna go ahead and complete this process this way, just for the purpose of showing you how to make the bunny. Now we're gonna stuff him. Just gonna stuff him. I'm not happy with too much with that. I made a circle and it actually, I wanted the ears to be straight up, but we're going to be happy with what we got right here. So I'm just going to stuff him, not too stiff of a stuffing into the bunny, and then I'll come back and show you how to close up the little butthole. Okay, now I've stuffed my little bunny. Now the next thing I need to do is just close up this little hole. Daisy said I was wrong for closing the bunny's butthole, but it's, you know, it'll be alright. So you just want to go through a couple of times and just close this. Don't you bump my camera, Daisy. Okay. Alright. Trim that tail on that a little bit. Okay, and then we want to make a knot so that this stays in here. Alrighty. Now the last thing that we need to do is cover this part so that you can't see it. If you wanted to do this on the belly, you could absolutely do it on the bunny's belly to leave an opening, and just make a patch to put on it. So what I'm going to do with this patch is I'm going to just sew all around it, hand sew it, and that will make the bunny's little tail. I'm going to do that, and then I'll come back and show you the finished results. Okay, so I'm going to try to show you how I sew this tail on. I've got my thread right here, and I put a knot in it, and I double threaded the needle. The first thing I want to do is come through the bottom so that I can hide the tail of the string. So I'm not going to do I guess you call it a blanket stitch. Is that what that's called? I'm just going to do a regular stitch, and what I'm going to do is try and come up about 1/4 inch from there and put it through the bunny's back and into the tail piece. And I'm going to do that all the way around until I'm back to where I started from. All the way around, and then until I'm back to where I started from, and then I'll knot it off and finish it up. So I just wanted to show you that, but I'm going to finish it and come back and show you when I'm done. Alrighty, y'all. The bunny is doney. Now this is what I did. You can see where I hand sewed the tail on. You can do it in any style you want. This is just how I'm doing it. This is, I guess you would call it like a prototype or a first try at this. You know, I just wanted to create my own little stuffy, plushy, whatever. I wanted the ears to stand up straight, but I think they're kind of cute like that. But I'm going to work on this pattern. Always when I make a first one, I'll end up changing a lot of things about it. Very rarely on something like this do I get it the way I want it the first time. But anyway, that is my little bunny plushie. I'm not going to create a PDF pattern. I will start doing that when I get doing more of things like this. Anything that I sew and make, I will try to create PDFs and put them on my blog. But you won't find a PDF for this one because I'm not completely happy with it. I've got to make a lot of changes to it. I think there's, you know, issues that the ears were too big. The body shape is just not the way I intended it to be. I wanted the ears to stand up straight. Sewing wise, you know, doing this in a hurry, you can see the seams where I closed off the legs after I stuffed them, so I should have come up a little bit more and stuffed a little less. I stuffed it too far up this time. I actually didn't stuff it enough with some of the first owls I made. But so anyway, that's it. And like I said, if really there's not any room on this type that I made, but if you made the body a little longer, you could actually do the a belly piece and open it up from here. So that's how I did it with some of the owls. And some of them, when I make a plushie like this, I'll just, if it's a printed fabric or something, I'll just take a piece of the printed fabric in the same color and make the hole and sew it on there like that. Anyway, yep, that is it. There's our little bunny. You could also paint the face. If you know you wanted to paint it instead of hand sewing, and I'm not real great at hand sewing, but I like the homemade look of things like this. So little imperfections are what makes it special, but big imperfections is what makes it you wish you'd done it a different way. So I hope y'all enjoyed this little tutorial, or whatever you want to call it. That is it, y'all. Peace. Bye bye.